Alright guys, welcome to the live. It's going to be a short one today because I need to read one of these comic books before I return it to the library. Yay! So I am reading today's comic book as Jean Grey, the Phoenix, not necessarily Jean Grey. The Phoenix is actually a cosmic entity that has multiple hosts. We did a little live not too long ago with my hubby wearing a shirt that had a crimson ibis on it, which, if you guys know your mythology, is the head of Thoth, which is the god of communication and is the equivalent to Mercury or Hermes in that kind of regard. So what today's we're going to be reading this, actually. Phoenix Resurrection. So it's kind of interesting, right? Because if you look at the cover, the cover of the Dark Phoenix Saga, doesn't that look a little familiar? Doesn't it look a lot like Crisis on Infinite Earths when Superman is holding Supergirl? Hi, Maury Landry. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live. So today's not going to be a fully extended live. We're going to just read through some of this, Phoenix Resurrection, because it deals with a timeline that I don't think is covered a lot when it comes to the Dark Phoenix Saga. I don't know. It's hard for live action to get really in the weeds and in the depths about what, cosmic entities are, and when you have a host and where does Jean Grey end and where does the Phoenix begin? And this actually delves into that conversation in some sort of way. Thank you for that, Mike. Okay, so without further ado, let me get my gloves on and we're going to get right into the read. Also, I have this comic book. We should come back to it. It's Cable, and Cable, there's a scene in here where one of the X-Men is like, isn't it weird having Cyclops as your dad and being older than your dad? And when we think of timelines and time streams and disruptions in the timelines and all that, it's kind of interesting how X-Men deals with it. And so I think Cable, not in today's show, but in a future show, might be well worth revisiting this and all of the Summers and Jean Grey genes, right? And how those actually measure up. Hey, Mike, thank you for the heart me. Appreciate that. Welcome to the Cosmic Comic Book Club. That's what I call it. Us finding out the truth in fiction, the truth in the symbols, right? The hidden truth for all of us. Let me just fix this mic a little bit and then we'll get started. Hope you guys are doing well wherever you are in the cosmos, right? Rachel Summers actually makes an appearance in this comic book. So I'm going to start there. We're going to skip around a little bit just because I want to get through the whole story today so that I can have this in the replay, and that way we can always have this on record, because there's many stories when it comes to comic books. And so I don't think there's any possible way for you to read every single storyline, every single version. You're going to resonate with certain stories that you want to read, right? If you're not going to find it interesting, why are you going to force yourself to read it? You have very precious moments in this lifetime. You don't, it's like movies, right? Where you start a movie and you're like, this isn't very good. You don't have to keep watching it. You can just stop right there and then put in a movie that you maybe watched 5 million times before, but you like it, right? Hey, Pac-Man, thank you for that. But, I'm still open to new stories, new versions of things. That's why, any new live actions that are done, any new X-Men things that are done, I'm always open to it being good. But at the same time, you don't have to like everything that's put in front of you, right? Even if they're using characters that you like, you're under no pressure. You can love what you love. You don't need to owe anyone anything. And I think that's the lesson of the Phoenix, and also power, what it means to be responsible with power, and those of you who have certain gifts that deal with large cosmic powers as well. My shadow on here is a little bit weird. Hey, Pikachu, thank you for that. Okay, go this way. Oh, it's blocking. We go. That's better. Lightly better. I'm gonna put the mic down more. Better. Okay, perfect. Corey, thank you for the gift too. So let's go right into the read. We're gonna go as long as we can. I'm gonna cut it at about like 20 minutes. I'm gonna keep my timer on so that I'm not just on here like going on. Sometimes a panel will come up and I'll go off about it, but today is not going to be the day for that. But so as I said to you guys before, this cover right here between Marvel and DC, you'll find that there's commonalities between two of these let's call them distributors of stories and comic book stories. Since working on my own comic book, I've also realized like there's a Marvel way of doing things, there's a DC way of doing things, and there's just a way of doing things. Like just telling a story, period. Well, hey, Gwen Stacy. Fancy seeing you here. Gwen Stacy, I would love to cosplay with you as Felicia Hardy, Black Cat. I am the Dark Phoenix, right? I actually made this cosplay myself. I sewed this Phoenix and all that kind of stuff. So cosplay for, I think, anybody who wants to get into it. I love low-cost cosplay, right? Because it's more than just it looking even exactly like the comic book, even though I like to use the comic book as like templates for my own cosplay. Some people like to use the movies. Some people like to use their own imagination, their own riff on things, but there's no right or wrong way to do things. It's all just about your own. You can cosplay me, I don't mind. You know what? That's the one thing I love about the Spidey girls. They're all amazing. And it's also just because if you think of what's attractive about characters like Peter Parker, or like characters who don't realize that they are as attractive as they are, like my husband, like there's something nice about when people don't realize, what is that song by Jesse McCartney? You don't realize that you're beautiful, and that's what makes you beautiful. Okay, so the return of Jean Grey. So if you're not familiar, Jean Grey does sacrifice herself in many renditions of this saga, and she does come back to life as a result of the Phoenix. Now, the Phoenix, if you're not familiar, we've read about the Phoenix in the history of the entire Marvel universe, where it's a cosmic entity of life and death, so regeneration, almost like a restart, a reboot. Hey, Garden Bitch, how's it going? Alvin, thank you for sharing the live as well. So we're just gonna jump right into it. I've read through some of this ahead of time so we can do like almost Cole's notes of it, but you guys know as well as I do, it's not the same thing having a Cole's notes version or like a synopsis versus you reading that comic book or you watching that movie. It's just like you interfacing with that piece of art is something like you're what brings it to life, right? Thanks, Pikachu. Okay, so let's just jump right into it because we got things to do tomorrow, and I've got like a production schedule I need to keep to. I need to try to publish by the end of the month, so I need to get to that. All right, so Annandale on Hudson, New York. My dad said he's just an old man in a bird costume. Oh, well, your dad's an idiot. Hey, Alvin, how's it going? And I guess I'm Dark Phoenix, but Phoenix, as you guys, like, power is power, magic is magic. It's all agnostic. It's about how you are wielding that particular aspect or tool, right? Okay. Your dad's an idiot. If that were true, why would be so scared of him? He's a... Whoa. Is she okay? And this looks like very much like horror movie stuff. Oh my gosh. Is she dead? What's happening? Are you okay? And then it's like creepy face here and like weird backward talking. So now we have a whole assembly of mutants. Look at how old Wolverine looks here. There's Psylocke. They're all gathered together at the Xavier Institute for Mutant Education and Outreach. Thank you all for coming on such short notice. And if you could all take your seats. Early this morning, my team responded to an incident around 95 miles north of the city. The information we were receiving was inconclusive, but we thought it was possibly mutant related. This looks like it's what's her name? Maria Hill giving people a briefing as well. Oh, Wolverine fan. Yes, he's in here. And he has this interaction with Jean we're going to flip to very soon. Okay. The reports we could gather from the area were spotty at best, and we weren't entirely sure what we were about to walk into. So it's Kitty Pryde. Sorry, not Maria Hill. Maria Hill is Avengers, and Avengers, they actually don't really, like, you have a lot of Avengers versus X-Men. It's an interesting thing that the mutants get such a raw end of the deal, right? Where the Avengers like, oh, we're the Earth's greatest heroes, and the X-Men are like, yeah, we try to protect people that don't really seem to like us. Spider-Man deals with this too, right? Okay. And to be totally honest, we still aren't sure what it was. So I called Beast and I asked him if he could come down here and see what he could glean. With that said, I'm going to turn this over to him. Hank? Thank you, Kitty. Flip. It's hard to flip with Equal Loves on, but I'm going to try. Well, thanks, Sex Cop Studios. I do love make OC characters child of hero or villain in Marvel Universe. Oh, yeah. And I do think the characters that you resonate with, that you feel called to cosplay as or to bring to life, that means something about even your own... it says something about even your own personal role or character that you're playing in, like, this game of life, right? Because no one tells you what your favorite character is or what your favorite flavor of ice cream is. You just know that, and you're allowed to change that, and as you like grow as like a character and all that kind of stuff, it all comes into it. Child of Scott and Jean, her name is Luna. Oh yes, so also too, Rachel Summers is in here as well, and Cable, where is it? Let me put that comic book. Cable here, he is the son of Scott Summers and Madeline Pryor, which is Jean Grey's clone. Like, this gets into that a little bit. Not exactly a clone, but there's also this idea of, like, incubating and what does it mean to resurrect, right? Even in my D&D game today, we had to do, like, a resurrection, and... the way we did it was that I had like a soul gem that we like put the soul into the gem, and then we had to go find a cleric to like bring them back to life. But Luna is younger child to Scott and Jean. Okay. Is that... Does she exist, or are you... We'll go back into that. I could get on a whole tangent because there's a whole show we should do, you guys, that has to do with the family tree of the Summers and Jean Grey, like all of their children, like Hope Summers, Rachel Summers, and then also the interaction between Franklin Richards and very powerful psychics who made herself. Oh, good. Oh, that's awesome, Gwen Stacy. That's very cool. I love that because it's how inspiration and imagination works. It like bounces off each other, and we grow from each other and inspiring each other. Okay, so Beast is now going to brief everyone on the weird happening that happened with the kids that were like floating catatonic, and it like seems like it's some sort of psychic ability thing. Okay, so we're going to go back a little bit first. As I'm sure you all know, we use Cerebro to locate and isolate energy and brainwave activity unique to people with the X gene. Mainly mutants. This morning, Cerebro picked up something else. A new type of reading. Kitty's team responded and was on the scene at approximately 7 a.m., where they were met with the following. 2 children, catatonic, floating approximately 1.6 meters above the ground, both bleeding profusely from the head, but showing no wounds. Very curious. Equally curious, neither tested positive for the X gene. Both children are now recovering at their local hospital with no memory of the incident. Their parents and the town are understandably traumatized, but the crisis has abated. The cause of this event could not be determined by our team. So that's it. We're all here for a couple of floating kids. Whatever caused this, Creed put Rachel in the infirmary just from being in the proximity. So actually, I missed that part where they went to go investigate this whole situation. See, you have the whole team. Storm looking amazing in her outfit, of course, and walking ahead. So you hear Rachel Summers on this end basically saying, weird, I used to have family who lived around here. And that's what's making her feel strange, right? She's like, I just feel off. And it's because it's Jean. I'm going to flip ahead to where we can have some context. Okay. Let's go to about... Because a lot of stuff in X-Men, you know, they're in like the danger room, or you're like, it's in your head, or things like that. So let's just jump into it like a dream. I need a lumberjack. I need a lumberjack. So you've got Jean. I'm going to, spoiler alert, this is a dream sequence created by the Phoenix, like an incubator for Jean Grey's consciousness. So she's in this state, like a dream state, where she thinks that she's a waitress at this diner. So she says, coming into the kitchen, I need a lumberjack for table 2. And don't burn it this time, John. No promises. What was that out there? Oh, nothing. Old guy just looked familiar. Come on, Jeannie. You know what I mean. I do. It's just I've been feeling off for weeks. Off how? I can't sleep. I've lost my appetite, and I keep having nightmares. You probably just ate too close to bedtime, sweetie. I had the most vivid dream that I died on the moon last night. Died on the moon. I'm going to bring this up a little closer. There. Let's see here. Died on the moon last night, Annie, and I don't think that was from the Oreos. And I'm seeing things. What kind of things? Out of the corner of my eye, like things are all happening just below the surface, and I can never get a good look at them. It feels like someone is poking around in my brain. Jean, I'm worried. Well, of course, but are you just a construct? It's like Vanilla Sky situation. I'm okay. It comes in waves. I'm feeling better already. You should still go talk to Dr. McTaggart about all of this, right? I know. I'm not surprised you haven't been getting sleep, though. Well, what does that mean? Scott's back in town, isn't he? Oh, yeah. And so Scott Summers, good old Scott Summers. I'll love you forever, Scott Summers situation. Well, that's another thing. When he came back, for a moment, it was like I forgot he orders up. Saved by the bell. You're in luck, Eric. Our chef didn't burn. Hello. Eric? All right. Some of our psychic teammates are missing, and we are looking for them. We are operating under the assumption that their disappearances and the psychic phenomena we've been encountering are all related. The Phoenix is coming back. They're always worried about the Phoenix. Even Avengers versus X-Men, the whole worry was the fact that the Phoenix was coming back to come and claim Hope Summers as a host, right? I wonder what makes a good host for the Phoenix. I'm just going to flip a little bit ahead. We're going to go to when Logan interacts with Jean to basically get her back. Yeah, let's do this. Okay, so as I told you guys, the Phoenix basically created this like incubator in a diner for Jean. And it's for her consciousness because she deems, or rather the Phoenix entity deems Jean as like a perfect host. And so it's like the Phoenix can't let go of Jean, right? And having her be her host, right? So what does this mean? How does it end up? So it's also causing consequences to people outside of the incubator egg thing. So it's more impressive than I remember. Gods always are, indeed, right? Let me see if I can flip it this way so I don't have the same shadow on me. Let's have a different light today. Hope you guys are well. Yeah, gods always are. So, what do we do now? We kill a god. Well, yeah, Logan would say that. That would be his response. And so he's the lone guy going up towards the Phoenix Diner, and he says, I know what to do. Do you, Logan? Do you? So he opens the door. I'll bring this down a bit. Ding, 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 ding. So he walks in. Jean looks great in her diner outfit, by the way. I'll be with you in 1 sec, sir. Morning. Can I get a cup of coffee? Wow. Sorry. You just look like someone I knew. Coffee would be great. Well, you look kind of familiar yourself. Do you live around here? Nope. I'm just making a quick stop, Red. I could swear we met somewhere. If we did, it was a lifetime ago. Well, what brings you to town, mister? I'm meeting someone I haven't seen in a while. Let me bring this. Oh, shadow of the mic. Bring it this way, that way. Maybe more up and all the way here. Just so I didn't consider the whole shadow aspect of things. So we may have to try this again another time too. Okay, so what brings you to town, mister? And so he says, I'm meeting someone. He means Jean, that I haven't seen in a while, right? So they're trying to get Jean back from the Phoenix. It's always a matter of like the Phoenix is coming back, but rather the Phoenix is already here. So let's continue on. Let me just adjust that mic so it's not in the way for now. Okay. Then he said, and then this lady from like the other table says, you sure you don't want that coffee to go so that you can be on your way, buddy? All like abrasive and stuff, saying this kind of. So, knows that Wolverine's here to get Jean back from the Phoenix. Think, Jeannie. Think about how you know me. Don't touch her. I don't. Somewhere in there. Let me bring this. So basically what's happened is the Phoenix has made like this little like Phoenix egg so that she can, I keep on calling the Phoenix a she, and I guess it is. She is. Oh, hello, Craig. Nice to see you guys. I think I'm actually going to have to accumulate this read a little later, just because I'm going to wrap up right now. I was supposed to be on earlier, but I always play D&D on Thursdays, and so I did also want to get this read out there. As you can see here, Wolverine attacks the lady in the dream construct, and Jean's like, no, what the heck? But what the biggest part here, how amazing she looks here. By the way, I need to come back with a better Dark Phoenix look. So what ends up happening is that we have a final confrontation between Jean and the Phoenix, right? And where are we here? We also have a beautiful scene here with Scott Summers and Jean. right? Where she says that she will always love him. I will always love you, Scott Summers, and I'll always love you. Yes. Oh, thank you. I actually made this one myself. It's one of the first ones I like sewed and all that. So thank you for that. Let's see here. I'll read this part because it's a good part, an intense part, and I can reread it if necessary. Open your eyes, Scott. Nothing will happen. I missed you so much, Jean. I missed you too. I thought about you every single day. I'm sorry, Jean, for everything, for what happened to you, for what happened to us. I know, Scott. I'm very sorry, Scott. It's not supposed to be like this. I can't let... I know. Hi, Voice of One. How's it going? Speaking of cable, I have your book here. Time Stream Defender. Making sure there's no altercations in the time stream. And so they give a hug and she says, we were better off dead. And it's at this point that she sacrifices Scott. I'm not quite sure why this happens. I have to go back and do some like analytics as to why. Because the thing about the X-Men is this, is like many periods of like different timelines and different time streams and like resurrections and all that. And so it's like, I'm good too. I'm feeling very resurrection-y today. A lot of phoenixing into your highest, best part, version of yourself. So she says, she hugs Scott and she says, he says to her, I will always love you, Jean Grey. And I will always love you, Scott Summers. And as she holds him, he basically dies in her arms, like she's sacrificing him. And after this happens in front of the rest of the X-Men who watch this, Jean turns to the Phoenix and says, tell me, Scrah, is that it? And this is the main panel I really wanted to show you guys. See all the different versions, because what is time? In every timeline, Jean Grey and the Phoenix are linked forever. It's like what Dr. Manhattan says. Once something happens, it has always happened. You can have different timelines where things don't happen, but there is always going to be a version that it does happen. Yeah. Let's see here. Don't you understand, Jean Grey? Together, we can be gods. Then we can transcend this place. Or we can hide together. Or we can become your best self. Or we can simply go back to the way things were before any of this. We can forget any of this ever happened, right? Because the Phoenix is a god, right? And this idea of like creation, destruction, alpha, omega, it's not meant to be understood in a 3D realm. It's why the Phoenix requires a host for anything to happen, right? And Jean, with her unique abilities, omega level mutant, but also because it comes from empathy, is able to be of that one mind. And that, from a perspective of, boundlessness, those of you who have very high empathy or high intuition, it's almost like there can be this confusion of like, where do I end and where does the rest of the universe begin? Right? And so like that dance between like who you are and you being everything as well is something that I think this interaction between Jean and the Phoenix, through that story, you're able to actually kind of like, I can relate to it, at least. Okay, so this is what the Phoenix says. And so Jean looks up at the Phoenix and she says, you don't understand. That's not how things are supposed to work. I know you're trying to protect me from these things, but you can't. I'm supposed to feel pain. I'm supposed to know loss. And I need to be able to do it on my own. And the phoenix says to her, you will die without me, Jean Grey, and the people you love will also die. But that's what I mean, creation and destruction. We can't just keep like resetting it. And then Jean says, I know, and I'll regret not being able to save them every day of my life. But that's my journey. That's life. You're trying to save me from being alive. I don't want to die, but I need to be allowed to live. And you need to move on without me. I can't be what you wanted me to be. And maybe I never could. So you can see Jean talking to the phoenix. You need to forget that I ever existed. And she looks at the phoenix first. And the phoenix finally, you can feel her understand. And Jean holds the phoenix flame in her hands one last time. And the phoenix says to her, goodbye, Jean Grey. Goodbye. And as the flame goes away, it's of course very painful, that kind of bond that you lose. And we're left with, welcome home, Jean. She's back. And look at these beautiful covers. Variant covers of Miss Jean. So that was what I wanted to show you guys. I have to do a little bit more research into timeline-wise. And so stay tuned for a live show where we go through Jean, the Dark Phoenix Saga. Oh, Scott, I just have to... Our timing... Never good, because I have to wrap up early today because tomorrow is, of course, Friday. I'm going to be doing a live, I think, earlier, just about the astro and all of that kind of fun stuff, as well as we have a lot more DJ and dance sets coming up as well. Yes, the Dark Phoenix. But I also just want to look at, like, the different timelines that exist, right? Because I was rereading Cable in the bath the other day, before I was reading the Resurrection comic book, before reading it to you guys, and I was like, holy cow, like, Cable, he's like a defender of the time stream, right? So, like, it's like this strange idea of, like, oh, wait, what does that mean? And, like, who gets to, like, monitor that? Because there's some fun stuff in here, because Cyclops is actually Cable's father, and one of the other X-Men is like, how weird is it to have Cyclops be your dad and, like, you're old? Cable. And Cable's like, what the heck? And also Cable is Hope Summers' father, so there's something there about that connection between Jean and Scott Summers, as well as Dark Phoenix and the Phoenix as a force itself also has these, like, bigger cosmic, I don't call it wars or battles or, like, conflicts on that upper level. And so it's also this idea of, like, how human beings in, like, 3D realm interact with, like, these higher concepts of being and what that actually, like, looks like. And comic books are a very unique medium by which you can kind of, like, show that. Don't forget about X-Men. Nate Gray, yes. So we need to do, like, I have a little whiteboard as well, Voice of One. So I will schedule that ahead of time. It'll probably be sometime in August, where it won't be a comic book read. It'll be more of, like, an analysis. And I would ask you guys to bring to that live any stories you know about the X-Men with, like, alternate timelines, ones where they, like, go back into, like, the days of future past, and just all these different alternate timelines that exist, because when you map all of them, it is like branches of a tree to me, right? Like, you can't go back in time and rewrite history. It's just like things always are. Like, once you think of it happening, that has already happened in a weird way. Like, many of you air signs out there, I think, are very attuned to this. But there's also this level of why the Phoenix Force needs Jean Grey is because you need a host. So we think about these essences, these ideas of like hope and truth and freedom. My Wolfie was saying, so agreeing with me, and honor. And yes, a picture is worth 1,000 words, because like love, right, is, how do you define what love is? How do you explain that to someone? And when you know you love someone, you just know, right? It was always a big deal for me growing up, where it's like, well, who says, like, someone saying I love you first, and like maybe you don't feel the same way, and then what do you do with that? And then also just different types of love, right? Like love of friendship, your family love of your like community, of like your fellow human family, and all of that love. Like not one love is better than the other, right? It's just this idea of how we wield that love as the most powerful force in the universe. It's not as simple. I know he is. I have to drop off though. We will save this for another time. I'm technically not Jean tonight. I'm technically the Phoenix. I take a little bit of all of my hosts with me. So technically I'm also Cyclops right now. I'm also Emma Frost. I'm also Rachel Summers, Quentin, and all of those that it is. But I will come back as the Phoenix and Jean Grey. Oh, thanks so much, Sam. Appreciate that. And peace with you too, Voice of One. Dandy Moneyman, thanks you guys for joining. I know this was a short live. I just wanted to come on and share that story with you guys, because I do have to return these ones to the library. I don't own these ones, but I will be sourcing some Dark Phoenix Saga stuff, and as I told you guys, some stuff when it comes to do with timelines and X-Men, and also like the gene keys and how those interface together. All right, guys, have a beautiful one tonight. I'm going to drop off now, and I will see all of you guys tomorrow. We'll do some astro. But remember, it takes true courage for you to be exactly you in this game of life. So make sure to be you, right? After all, the universe is counting on you. But remember, I do have your back. Until next time, my friends. Bye.